Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Yapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedya Pravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So where are we in our text?
Chapter 7, number 2.
Chapter 7, number 2. So we're now in the section where Janaka and Ashtavakra keep bouncing these paeans of knowledge back and forth to one another.
Shall I start?
Please.
Mayayan Antamahabodho.
Who's speaking, by the way? It should be in the very first verse.
Janaka.
Janaka, okay.
Mayayantam aham bodho jagat vichi swabhavatah udetu vastamayatu na me vridhirna chakshatihi. In me the limitless ocean. Let the waves of the world rise and vanish spontaneously. I experience neither increase nor decrease of me thereby.
So again, this is a paradox. During a class over the weekend, a student asked, well, does it just happen by itself or do I have to do anything? And at his particular level of unfoldment, I said, oh, yes, you do need to do things. It is a practice. You need to have discipline. So if your mind is getting triggered and you tailspin down in negativity and things like that, there's work to do. But once we're deeply rooted in this knowledge, Sthita Prajna, steady wisdom. And through our sadhana, we have overcome the world, as Jesus says. Meaning I have silenced the tyranny of raga and dvesha. I love the little image image that I think it's Hafiz uses. Even if a little bit of egoism arises, it's like a little dust devil. We see it and it dissipates. So for the person of steady wisdom, there's nothing left to do. Nothing that I have to take up as a practice. No particular thing to reject. When I finally seen through the complete unreality of all mind states, then there's spontaneity. Then our equipment becomes the hand of God in the world. There's a wonderful poem in Spanish written by Saint Teresa of Avila. And she says, Christ has no hands or feet on earth but yours. No other eyes to look compassion on the world. But all personal sense of doership has been bad. Any thoughts on this? All right, next one.
Mayayantam mahabodhau Vishwam nama vikalpana Atishanto nirakara Etadevaham. In me, the shoreless ocean is the imagined illusion of the universe. I am the profoundly tranquil and formless. In this knowledge alone I abide.
So the person of steady wisdom is certainly aware of the economy, of politics, of all that's going on. But inside, Shitala, cool. They may not even be aware of the outer world. But they have absolute trust that the whole world is unfolding just as it's supposed to. And that the self in me is never touched, but neither really is the self in anyone else. There's a Beatles song, might have been John Lennon. The lyrics are, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Beautiful, beautiful truth. And if we're intuitively impelled to take some action that might make a difference in the world, yeah, we do it. But we're not compelled to do it because of our discomfort. Any thoughts on this? Next verse. Before we go on. One of the most difficult things for most of us to deal with is to be in the presence of another person's suffering. The natural human thing is, I'll save you. You want to fix it. Either that or get away from it. But for the Stita Prajna, you just hold sacred space. Paradoxically, that does more than anything else to transform it. Most people don't want to be fixed. They just want to be heard. All right, next verse.
Natma bhaveshu no bhava tatranante niranjane ityasakto spriha shanta etadevahamasthitah. The self is not in the object, nor is the object in this self, which is infinite and taintless. Hence, it is free from attachment and desire. It is tranquil. In this knowledge alone I abide.
Yes. So, is the reflection really in the mirror? Or is the mirror in the reflection? It's one of these relationless relationships. The reflection cannot appear without the mirror. And it has no independent existence. Yet the mirror never undergoes any change. So also sarvam idam, all this cannot exist apart from consciousness. The material cause of the universe is Brahman. It's the stuff out of which everything is made. And Brahman never leaves its swabha. What is Brahman? Satchidananda. Pure existence, consciousness, and bliss absolute. That's what's really here. Take it easy. Don't worry. Next one.
Aho chinmatramaye vaham indrajalopamam jagat ato mama katham putra heyopadeya kalpana. Oh, marvelous! I am really pure consciousness. The world is like a magic show. Hence, how and where can there be any notion of rejection or acceptance in me?
So the term here is Indrajala. And magic show, more like going to see a stage hypnotist. Or a magician, yes. In other words, things are seen, not real. If the illusionist puts the woman in the box and takes out a saw and saws her in half, that looks so real. Oh, look at the magician. He pulled a rabbit out of his hat. It seems so real. But it's all sleight of hand. It's all illusion. All this. It's no different. What's really here? Sarvam Kalvinam Brahma. All this is verily. Going on.
Next chapter. Chapter 8, Bondage and Freedom. Ashtavakra vacha tada bandho yada chittam kinchid vanchati shochati kinchin munchati grihnati kinchid drishyati kupyati. Ashtavakra said, it is bondage when the mind desires or grieves at anything, does reject or accept anything, does feel happy or angry at anything.
So the bondage is nothing more than vancha, wanting it different than it is. Why? Because I think I am a person, and that Jiva Bhavana has inherent discontent. I've been calling it spiritual impoverishment. I'm not enough, there's not enough. And then it engages only in two things: fixing the world or fixing me. Once I'm moving from that idea, it's serious business and struggle. Kartavya is set up. That's what hurts so bad. That is my bondage. First noble truth of the Buddha, dukkha satyam, the truth of suffering. The way most people live it sucks. Second noble truth, samudaya satyam, the truth of the arising of suffering. It is kama, craving. It is sangraha, attachment. It is raga, passion for things. It is dvesha, aversion. All rooted in spiritual ignorance. Next one.
So the words he used here was like accept and happy, which in the positive light, which seems like very weak words, but probably the emotion you're saying is more of like the grasping or the attachment kind of happiness. Same thing.
What's the word he's using for happy?
Harishyati.
Like harsha. Yeah. I'm not sure. But the idea here is when I seek happiness in the world, I think that's the point he's getting at. I'm having allergies today.
Or when we push away, think if without that, I'll be happy, right? With this, I'll be happy. If I get rid of that, I'll be
And again, the surface part of the mind will have its preferences.
happy. Mm-hmm.
There's no problem with that. It's the attachment to the outcome. It's the insistence. And you don't need an outside person. Oh, is this okay if I do this? You don't need, you figure it out. You'll figure it out. But the thing to know that if I'm disturbed, it's never caused by the externals. I'm stuck wanting. That's the bogey beats up the world to try to get what they want. The yogi tries to let go of the wanting. And do what you will. I don't know if that answered your question.
It did, yeah.
All right, going on.
Tada muktiryada chittam na vanchati na shochati na munchati na grihnati na hrishyati na kupyati. Freedom is attained when the mind does not desire or grieve, does not reject or accept, does not feel happy or angry at anything.
Yeah. When I've let go of paying attention to, feeding these swings of the mind. Tell us what your insight was in meditation that you had, that you were sharing with me before class.
Oh, just when there's that steadiness, that neutrality, nothing, no thought can affect it.
But you what were the thoughts that had come up?
Oh, just,
in
it was
general?
just like trying to think of things that would normally upset me.
Yeah.
And just it not being able to,
Yeah.
if the mind is in a neutral state. It can't be moved from that neutrality.
And again, words fall short. Scripture comes close. Any thoughts out there in Zoom land? Going on.
Tada bandho yada chittam saktam kaswapi drishtishu tada moksho yada chittam saktam sarva drishtishu. It is bondage when the mind is attached to any of the sensory perceptions. It is freedom when the mind is detached from all perceptions.
And again, we don't mean here that you need to be in samadhi or sound asleep. It's not about the non-perception. That's not the goal. It's about the non-attachment. You're capable of letting the world just be as it is. I think someone mentioned Priya's little slogan that I like: radical perpetual acceptance. It is as it is. I used to play with the idea, what if it's going to be just like this for the rest of eternity? You've got an obnoxious boss. You're going to have to work for this obnoxious boss for the rest of eternity. You've got some pain or ache or numbness in your face or something like that. What if it's going to be like that for the rest of eternity? I call it the vampire Lestat meditation. None of the young people know who that is. You know what it is.
Yeah, of course.
There was this author, Anne Rice, who wrote all these vampire books. And the vampire Lestat, he couldn't die. You know, he'd get all chopped up and everything like that. And he'd come back together. He was always coming back to life, poor guy. So you have the vampire Lestat meditation. It's always going to be just like this. If that be so, quit caring about it. Be at peace. Whatever's going on now is gonna pass. Something else will come up. Without any need to project our well-being into the future. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Yada naham tada moksho, yadaham bandhanam tada matveti helaya kischit ma grihat vimunchama. Where there is no ego, I, there is freedom. Where there is ego, I, there is bondage. Knowing thus, stop from accepting or rejecting anything playfully.
Yeah, so don't be inattentive. If for some reason ego thoughts begin to assert themselves, someone gives you a compliment. Oh, yeah, let it land. You make a particular dish, someone else makes the same dish better. And everybody says, oh, Wendy, so and so made you this dish and it was just fantastic. That's the best I've ever had when you've made it for them before. You ever had that happen?
Yeah.
An ego. You watch ego go.
Yep.
Ciao.
Jow. I love
Jow.
that. That's my new phrase all the time. Like I told Lloyd too, he's loving it. Jow, jow.
Is it Jiao or Jiao?
Jiao.
Jiao.
There's like a little
Like Jiao.
The accents.
Yeah.
Get out. Yeah. You don't want to, even for a moment, let that ego thought arise. Remember in Yoga Vasishta, the story of Sambhata who had the Terminator demons.
Yeah.
See, once they begin to reflect on their success, they had fear.
Can I say,
Pardon me?
what does he mean by playfully? Lightly?
Where you don't think it's particularly important. You know, I can, bask in this egoism for a while. It feels good, stuff like that. No, be vigilant. Be vigilant. I can remember there's a video out there before Swamiji passed away. They did this ceremony that was done in ancient times for great kings. And they made this enormous scale. And Swamiji was sitting in this throne on one side, and then all these people were making donations to the Chinmaya mission. And the federal bank had allowed them actually to use gold bars. And so they were bringing up a gold bar, I know these are what, $10,000, $20,000 a piece, these gold bars, And what was he doing? His mala. No way was he getting close to this. Until finally the gold goes whoosh. Wow. And he climbs down off the throne and he looks at the gold and he goes, and then walks away.
Wow.
So, he acted it out. Ooh, this is wonderful. No, I renounce. Always. Always. I think that's what he means. Is that a little clearer?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you know what that particular ritual is called?
I've never seen it, no.
If I can find it on YouTube, I'll send it to you. Vilasani will know. I think it was done in Mumbai. Anyway, going on. What it was he did a lot of fundraising because he was always the principal fundraiser for the Chinmaya mission. He knew when he was gone. And you know how he did it? He never charged for any of the yajnas. That was always Guru Dakshina. It was Bhiksha, feeding him. thousands of dollars people would pay to serve him lunch and to serve him dinner. But their egos get their gratification.
Is that punya? I mean, is that considered punya to feed
Oh,
food?
yeah.
In the tradition, yeah.
You get, it's sort of like, what's it called in Catholicism? Where you know, give money or whatever. And
Indulgences.
it's like the Hindu version of
Yeah.
indulgences in a way, right?
The idea is you get blessed by the person when they come to your house, and
Yeah.
the whole house gets
In,
charged.
in our culture, you go to somebody's house for dinner and you bring them a bottle of wine or flowers or something. In India, it's the other way around. The guest is doing you a favor. The guest is God.
I like
And
that better.
especially if it's a sadhu.
Yeah.
All right, going on.
Chapter 9. Indifference.
That was a short chapter.
4 verses. Ashtavakra vacha krita krite cha dvandvani kada shantani kasya va evam gyatveha nirveda evam gyatveha nirvedab tava tyaga parovrati. Ashtavakra said, to whom do the conflicts of duties performed and not performed, and of the pairs of opposites belong? When do they cease? And for whom? Having thus fully inquired, through complete indifference to the world, become passionless and be devoted to renunciation.
So, at a particular level of our practice, of course, there's values in paying attention to the yamas and niyamas, moral precepts. Of course, there's enormous value in paying attention to the qualifications of the fit student. You need to do that. But for the Sthita Prajna, there's nothing left to do. Do you know your essential nature? Yes. Yeah, but I want more. Maybe I'll do a 100-day retreat on a mountain. You might have a very, very quiet mind at the end of that, or not. And then the question is, do you know more self? Don't you? Guess what happens? Your prarabdha will take you perhaps back into the world. Life is fine. You may enjoy a retreat. That doesn't mean Mahatmas don't do spiritual practices, but they do it because it's fun. It's their idea of a good time. Not because, oh, I'm going to get some wacko state out of it and it's going to be better. Always got to be careful that if you're in the mind state of chasing spiritual experience, it's like trying to step on the head of your shadow. The very act of chasing makes all that stuff recede. Let it go. Be still. I think it's in the prophet Isaiah. Be still and know that I am God. What does be still mean? give up struggle. Next one.
Kasyapi tat dhanyasya loka cheshthavalokanat jivitecha bubhuksha cha bubhutso pashamam gatah. Rare indeed, my son, is that blessed person whose passion for living, desire to enjoy, and hunger to learn and know have been extinguished by observing the ways of men.
Yes. So he's talking about the three levels of vasana. So the first one was passion for living,
Mhm.
deha vasana. I want to preserve the body. I want to beautify the body. I want body sensation. What was the second one?
Desire to enjoy.
Yes. So we can say this is lokavasana. I want situations to be happy and conducive. And the last, the desire for learning Shastravasana. These also have, combinations and subsets. I wouldn't get too hung up on that particular map. The idea here is rare is the person who has given up the neediness of this. Now, for many of us on the spiritual path, we get caught up in Shastravasana. I just read enough spiritual books. And if I just watch enough YouTube videos of spiritual masters, if I just run around the country and have satsang with all these teachers, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. And in truth, what we are to do is very simple. All of us know what to do. It isn't about listening to someone telling us what to do again. It's about doing it. Let go. Keep your heart open. Give up your fascination for the world. Let go of any personal sense of self. In terms of your equipment, let the Lord take charge. Do as you will. It's so simple. When we studied Gita umpty million years ago, verse 54 in the second chapter, what are the marks of the Stita Prajna Purusha? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he sit? How does he speak? And usually when we have lists, the most important is done first. Verse 55. When a person casts off all the desires of the mind, O Partha, and satisfied in the self by the self, then they're said to be Stita Prajna Purusha, a person who's steady. There it is. It's all of yoga right there. That's all we need. Next verse.
Anityam sarvamevedam tapatriya doshitam asaram nindatam heyam iti nishchitya shamyati. The man of wisdom becomes serene by realizing that this world indeed is transient, filthy with the triple misery, worthless, contemptible, and as something to be rejected.
Oh, I'm not sure I'm gonna agree with him. The world is not bad. It's not filthy and contemptible. I really disagree with him. The world is void. It is neither capable of giving me anything really satisfying, but neither is it capable of binding me in any way. The world is just simply shunyata. It's void, completely neutral. Do you find the speed of light desirable or contemptible?
No, just is.
Are the rings of Saturn desirable or contemptible? And the stars, the planet Pluto, desirable or contemptible? I'm an astrologer. I want Pluto to be a real planet. I'm not talking about But the point is, that's nature. It just is. It just is. And in the end, it does have a cosmic beauty. We get these God shots. But what we need to understand is we do not want to superimpose my own self-nature on the names and forms. Remember, we talk about anyonya adhyasa, mutual superimposition. I superimpose upon the self the qualities of the not self, and I superimpose upon the not self the qualities of the self. First superimposition. Who I am is Chidakash, the space of pure awareness. I'm not the body, I'm not the prana, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm not even the ignorance of pure Vasu. Who am I? Chidakash, the space of pure awareness. Second superimposition. I take the Sat Chit Ananda, that is my essential nature, and I externalize it. Wendy is the child of a barren woman, is it? The sofa isn't. Sat Chit. The table is not conscious, but Punit is. He's very conscious. I externalize it over there. And most dastardly, I externalize Ananda. You make me happy. You make me unhappy. I'm not going to blame it on either of you. This politician makes me happy. Oh, this politician makes me so upset. So I need to undo both superimpositions. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Nitya. Brahman alone is real. All phenomena, Nama Rupa, name and form, is Mithya. It's imagination, it's illusion. What's really out there that I see as a world of name and form? It's all Brahman. And Brahman is Theta, Utasta. It does not change. There's not good Brahman and bad Brahman. No. I made that up. Do you have a question or did you just swallow?
I just swallowed.
Okay. So let's see what happens. I find it a little unusual that there's such a pejorative verse. There's almost none of that in this text. Going on.
Kosau kalo vaya kimva yatra dvandani no nrinam tanyupekshya yatha prapta varti siddhi mavapnutyat. What is that time or that age in which the pairs of opposites do not exist for man? He who abjuring these, rests contented with what comes to him unasked, reaches perfection.
Yes. So everyone gets their allotted dose of conducive and non-conducive situations, all determined by the force of the past and the desires of other people. Intelligent person, do your actions in the world. Understand. Krishna is a trickster. You never know what's going to happen. Going on.
Nana matam maharshinam sadhunam yogitam tatha drishtva nirvedamapanna kona shamyati manavaha. Where is that man who, having observed the diversities of opinions among the great seers, sages, and yogins, and thus becoming completely indifferent, does not attain tranquility?
Yes. So Krishna says, when the mind stands poised by what it has heard, by what it hasn't heard. Oh, I think this Swami's commentary is just terrible. No concern. Oh, no. This guru is completely fully realized. You should go study with him, not such and such and so and so. None of that makes any difference. I cannot think a real thought. In the end, be an Upanishad. We don't need commentaries. Again, this is a capstone text. One of my favorites, again, from second chapter of Gita. He who knows it not. Blah, 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 blah. She who knows it not knows it. That's unknown among. Remember one disciple was all upset about something. Swamiji, we need to have a talk. Swamiji said, what is there to talk about? Talking is stupid. He who talked and talked and talked, morning and night. Going on.
Kritva murtir parigyanam Chaitanasya na kim guru nirvedasam mata yukta yasya rayati sansritehe. He who apprehends the true nature of pure consciousness by complete indifference to the world, by equanimity, and by logical reasoning, and thus saves himself from the round of birth and death, is he not really the spiritual guide?
Yes. So it's not the person who has the jewel turban. It's not the person with thousands and thousands of followers. The real guru, someone who wields a valid means of knowledge. And in your relationship, your interaction with them, you come to know yourself. And the guru is always a temporary employee. If they are good at what they do, they put themselves out of the job. What's the job? Remove your ignorance. All right. All right. Bye-bye. Now, go help somebody else. This is never meant to be a permanent, dependent relationship. Always be gratitude. But it's not a dependent relationship. When you are rooted in the self, you have no need for the teacher. Going.
It's like a very similar verse to a verse we did on Saturday. Mandukya, I feel like deja vu.
I think scriptures are maybe repetitive.
But literally the three, even the translation, like complete indifference, equanimity, and logical reasoning.
Yeah. These are classic. These are classic things. Sometimes it's a different three. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana.
Right.
You know. They borrow from one another. Going on.
Pasya bhuta vikarastvam bhutamatran yathartatah tatshanat bandhanirmukta swarupastho bhavishyasi. Recognizing the modifications of the elements as nothing in reality, but the five elements themselves, you will at once be free from their bondage and thus abide in your true nature.
Yes, so it's a reference to our deep understanding of the tanmatras, the elements. We went through this exhaustively in our study of Yoga Vasishta. The tanmatras are associated with perception itself. Do not think that what their meaning is the world from the standpoint of science is made up of earth, air, fire, water, and space. I really struggled with this in the beginning. No, earth is not an element. Helium is an element. Hydrogen's an element. Oxygen's an element. And I didn't get what it was about. And it becomes very clear if you go to the dream state. We've done this so many times. If you look at the table here in the waking state, it's made out of wood. Wood is made out of cellulose. Cellulose is mostly carbon. That's how we would break it down in the waking state to find its elements. But if we were dreaming about the table, you can't say the table of your dream is made out of wood. It's made out of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling in various combinations. That's all that it is. And then the scripture says, in truth, this is no different. It just seems solid. And the terms that the scriptures use are gross and subtle. Best way to understand this is it's vibrational. So the high notes on the piano are subtler. They're a faster, finer vibration than the low notes on the piano. Those are grosser, lower, slower vibration. You can look at steam, water, ice. It's all H2O. What's the difference? The rapidity of the vibration of the molecules. That's all it is. Subtle, middling, gross. A dream is more subtle than the waking state. If you just imagine a table, that's a little more subtle than the dream state. The dream state seems a little bit more solid. If you just say the word table, you have an archetypal image, but it's not real precise. It's very subtle. The point is, it is my ignorance that makes me think the table here is solid and real and separate from me. I, Jim, can reach out and touch the table because it's other. It's all illusion. Doesn't mean we don't have the experience. It's like a lucid dream. But don't take it seriously. That's the point. Going on.
Vasana evam sansara iti sarva vimunchataha atyago vasanat yagat sthitiradhya yatha tatha. Desires alone constitute the world. Therefore, you please renounce them all.
So the word here is not kama or vancha, it's vasana.
There's more to the image.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The giving up of desires is the renunciation of the world. Now you may live anywhere you like.
Yes. So the point here is, it's the renunciation of the vasanas. It's the annihilation of the vasanas. Here and now, that's considered liberation by the wise. That's Shankara's quote. Remember, a vasana has two powers. Shakti, Vikshepa, Shakti. So how do I know if my mind is covered by vasana? Because I want stuff. Yes, but there's a subtler form of it. What's the subtler form? What's the first thought? That is,
I am my body.
or
I
I'm
am.
an person, yeah, I am my body. Jiva Bhavana is the first thought that's the fruit of ignorance. If I think I'm a person, I'm deluded. Drill that into your mind repeatedly. Because ego will say, if I think I'm a person, I got serious business. I got issues. Varuna Shakti, veiling power, Vikshepa Shakti. I think I'm a person, I have a goal, I have to struggle. That is samsara. That is the world of suffering, of becoming, of reincarnation, etc. How do I free myself from it? Remove the ignorance. And Shankara talks about how we approach it from two standpoints. If I work on renouncing my attachment to the objects of the desires, my personal sense of self, it weakens the Avarana Shakti. If I inquire into my self nature and I have moments where I realize who I am, it weakens the extroversion of the mind into the world. We do both. But the mind under the influence of vasana is my suffering. The mind freed from vasana is in fact liberation. Very simple. Any thoughts on this? Next one.
Chapter 10. Dispassion. Ashtavakra Vacha Vihaya Vairinam Kama Artham Chanartha Sankulam Dharmam Yetarya Hetum Sarvantra Dharmam Yetaya Hetum Sarva Tranandaram Sarva Tranandaram Kuru. Ashtavakra said, having given up desire, kama, which is the enemy, wealth, artha, worldly prosperity, which is attended with mischief, and piety, dharma, performance of good deeds, which is the cause of these two, cultivate indifference to everything.
Yes. So, should I do religious ritual? In the beginning, of course. Use every tool that you can find to purify your mind. Should I take pilgrimages? Why not? Should I meditate for hours? Knock yourself out. Should I study scripture? Go for it. Should I purify my diet? Sure. But all of these are the process of achieving chitta shuddhi, purity of mind, sattva. It is the sattvic mind which is the wonder sword of knowledge that cuts the knots of the heart. Once I realize who I am, what I am, then all of those externals are meaningless. Do them or not do them. But there's nothing more to be gained by them, except maybe a little temporary worldly pleasure. Any thoughts on this? So the sthita prajna, their mind is indifferent. Everything in them. Now this is not nihilistic in the end. This indifference is shot through with love. shot through with an indiscriminate love. Why? As the Sthipa Prajna sees the self in everyone. Chidananda Rupaham. My form is bliss consciousness, and so is the world. So you're not some prune-faced stoic. That's not what we're talking about. You say Ramana Maharshi, sometimes he was like totally impassive. But other times he was just absolutely an embodiment of love. He had a thing for Lakshmi the cow. Love. Okay, we'll do one or two more.
Swapnendra jalavat pashya dinani trini panchava mitra kshetra dhanagarat taradayadi sampadaha. Look upon friends, lands, wealth, houses, wives, presents, and other such objects of fortune as a dream or as a magician's show, lasting only a few days, just 3 or 5.
Yeah. We don't ignore them. We're not fearful of enjoying or appreciating. But look at them all as incredibly temporary. Lasting a very short time. I tell you, when you are post 75, I suspect it's going to be even more so if, God willing, I become post 80, but at least at 77. A whole lifetime has gone by. It just seems like in a blink of an eye. Can't believe it's almost over. All right, one more.
Yatra yatra bhave trishna sansaram vidhi tatra vai praudha vairagyam ashritya vita trishna sukhi bhava. Know that to be the world wherever there is desire. Cultivating strong dispassion, go beyond the desire and be happy.
Yes, that is the world. The world here being the rat race that has as its cause spiritual ignorance, and its effect is desire. Go beyond it. Then let the product of the body fulfill this lifetime. No attachment, even the body itself. This is freedom. This is moksha. All right, we'll end here. What verse are we on for next week?
We are on verse 4 in chapter 10.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.